Okay, so this video is about the art of being present. You know what it entails exactly. You know the benefits of being present. I believe is one of the most profound things that most humans today lack. You know, we just don't have it. So yeah, I'm gonna go into the benefits now of being present. So the biggest benefit is just as you deal with anxiety. You know, so humans, many of us, we're like especially in the Western world, we have anxiety problems. You know, like we're taking pills, we're doing all these different things to deal with anxiety. You know, so but let this plane go by. Yeah, so the biggest thing though with anxiety, right, is that number one, your brain is a muscle, right? So the more you do things, the more you give your brain an opportunity to grow in a particular area, the better your brain can deal with it, especially when it deals with it again, right? So anxiety usually stems from, like, if you're doing something but your brain is racing ahead, right? You're overly focused on the future. And so ideally we want to be present, and there's different techniques that you can use to be present, you know, within the given moment. So there's this book called The Power of Now that I highly recommend you listen to. But some of the techniques that they mention about being present is trying to find ease within the present moment, trying to find lightness within the present moment, and trying to find joy within the present moment, right? Now, I know it can be hard, but there's other parameters that affect your ability to be present. Another parameter being the way you look at other humans within the world. So many humans, they identify with their ego, and so they see everyone else in the world as either a threat or somebody to use, right? So ideally you want to see the truth of it, and you want to see yourself as one with all the other humans, you know. And so, like a metaphor is you're one with, like, you're a ray of sunlight, but you're also the sun, or you're a wave in the ocean, but you're also the ocean, you know. Metaphorically saying, all humans are similar and we're from like the same place. So, you know, but it helps though, because like even like me being in public and like making these videos of different people walk behind and in front of me, I feel like I'm at one with all other humans, you know. So I don't feel like I'm in no way threatened by anyone in society. Though of course people can still come and potentially want to do harm, but you know, it is what it is, and the odds of that happening is very unlikely. So the second part of this video, so the second part of this video, I just want to talk to you. There's a scripture in the Bible where they speak about the 10 virgins. It's a metaphor that was in the book of Matthew. And so this parable, this story is really about being present, right? And so, but the story as it goes, right? So these 10 virgins, they're waiting for the bridegroom to come, right? For them to kind of like spend time with it, which is kind of like a weird story or whatever. But I guess this is what was happening back then. So these 10 virgins, they're waiting for the bridegroom to come, and I guess then they're gonna go to the wedding feast with him, right? And so 5 of the virgins though, they choose to have oil because they don't know when he's gonna come, you know. And so, but once he does come, the 5 virgins with the oil, they're ready, right? They're ready to go, like, I guess, meet him to go to the wedding banquet. And so, but the other 5 who are unprepared, they're asking the 5 who are prepared. They're like, yo, can we get some of the oil? And they're like, no, you go buy it, you know. And so they choose to go buy it. By the time they come back, as is all in the Bible, right? By the time they come back, the door is closed for the wedding banquet, right? And they can't come in, right? But the metaphor, as it was explained in the book, The Power of Now, which is in the background there by Eckhart Tolle. So the oil in the metaphor is consciousness, right? Your consciousness, your ability to be present, your ability to use your mind to not overly be focused on the future or overly be thinking about the past. So ideally you want to dissolve the past as much as possible, right? So the second thing with the lamps burning, you know, the lamps burning, their ability to be present, right? To see whatever needs to see, if it's at night or whatever, right? The third thing, the bridegroom, which is the now, right? So you want to be present, you want to be supremely in the now. which is very hard to do, but it's not impossible, you know. I think if you were to listen to this book, by the way, 7 times, you would absolutely tap in to the ability to be present and be now, you know, and be in the now. But yeah, that's in the metaphor. The bridegroom is the now, then the wedding feast is enlightenment, right? Now, certainly it becomes very powerful, right, when all come together, because, and it's the metaphor showing that the 5 virgins who were unprepared, they were locked out of the door, right? They were not able to enter enlightenment or the wedding feast, right? So it's very serious, very important, and the metaphor happened in the Bible. So it's just like a metaphor of, like, you know, of all of these things put together, and the value of it, and even the value of, like, being present in the present moment. So it's not to be taken lightly. You know, again, the oil is the consciousness, lamb's burning is the present, the bridegroom is the now, and the wedding feast is enlightenment. Yeah. So last thing on the science of being present, right? So in my other job as a pastor, I'm a taxi driver. I work with Uber, and so it's almost like the most impossible job, or the hardest job to be present with, right? Because of course you're driving for at least like 10 hours a day. I work in New York City. So I'm like the last person that you would ever expect to want to be present, right? Now, however, from being present, even as I'm observing pedestrians, other cars, different customers in my car, my music, other books I'm listening to while I'm driving, you know, you would think that a present moment could be excruciatingly painful. However, it is not. It is very peaceful. It's very, like, blissful. It's almost orgasmic, right? And I strongly believe, but I cannot prove, that the people who smoke weed, the people who do drugs a lot, the high that I have from understanding how to be present, I think this is what they're chasing, right? So it's very powerful. Again, not something to be taken lightly, and it certainly has changed my whole life with regards to how I work. I've been working with Uber for about 8 years, and I only started this practice about a year or 2 years ago, and I couldn't believe, like, how much it has changed my life, you know. So I highly recommend. I have not been able to convince anyone to listen to this audiobook, you know, 7 times, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I did meet quite a few people who did come across it, and there was this one guy who was a passenger in my car. He had it at his nightstand, and he would read the book daily. But he was one of the most amazing passengers I've ever had, you know. So go figure, right? Go figure that this book is helping a person to be more like a human, less beaten down by society, less beaten down, filled up with anxiety, where they're overly consumed with the future or overly identifying with the past, right? Just like very, you know, it may not seem dangerous, but it's like strong weights on a person's ability to be human, right? So I would say, as somebody who's on the other side, and by the way, this book is about 7.5 hours long. I've consumed this book about 15 times over now, you know, and I still listen to it for about 15 minutes every day. So it's very, very powerful, not to be taken lightly. And so, but in conclusion, I think that this book, The Power of Now, is the 3rd most powerful book I've ever come across. I'm sorry, the 2nd most powerful book I've ever come across, with the first one being the Bible. Yeah, and I encourage anyone watching this video to take a firm stand against anxiety, right? And against also the victim mentality. So anyone who's overly identified with the past obviously would tend to be like a victim, you know. But every new day is a new opportunity to do things, to be present, to get whatever you want to get, you know, and just be alive. So ideally you want to dissolve the past as much as possible and focus on the present moment, and not overly think about the future. And the last thing I'll say, that it was mentioned in the book, and it was very freeing for me to hear. Eckhart Tolle said humans should be overly invested into the present moment, but take momentary visits into the past and the future as is necessary, right? So the key words being as is necessary. Very, very powerful, you know. And so yeah, that's it about being present.